medical exams and having piercings. Going to go through my suggestions on that in case you got some doctoring type stuff coming up. Coming up next on New to Piercing, episode number 32. For those who are new to the channel, welcome to the Body Piercing and Tattooing channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. So you find them helpful and useful, but you may not know who I am. My name is DaVo. I'm a professional body piercer and have been since 1994. I own and I operate the Axiom Body Piercing studio located right here in Des Moines, Iowa, inside the Skin Kitchen Tattoo. So we're going to talk about, you got some medical exam coming up, whether it's imaging or what have you. Some of the things you need to know. Imaging is kind of the primary one. What do you need to know about your jewelry? Do you need to take it out? Is it preferable to do that? What are some options to keep the piercing open? We're going to talk about that today. First off, preparation. Whenever in doubt, talk to your doctor or tech or whoever is your contact at that particular place where you're having this procedure done. They're going to know much more than a piercer would of what their policies are concerning it. Part of the issue with body piercing jewelry being in the body during a procedure or exam is the liability issue. What your medical professional is trying to do is limit the possibility of problems coming or happening. First thing you can do in preparation would be changing jewelry to a metal or material that's acceptable to having this done. In most situations, they want nothing metallic inside you, so I would suggest glass. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, plastic. The problem with plastic is we don't know what it's made out of. We don't know if it's toxic or not, and I'm sure nobody wants to take that risk. The other issue is it is really rough and could cause some damage to a piercing. The other option would be to change to a type of jewelry that's easy for you to take in and out. So you can take it out right before the exam and then put it in right afterwards. Things like threadless jewelry, circular barbells are a good option. Set up a kit that you have with you when you do that. A baggie to put the jewelry in, separate baggies. Also, some type of lubricant, like a water-based lubricant. If you have them, guide pins or tapers will make it really easy to slide the jewelry back in. If you want more information about that, you might want to check out my last video about changing and storing jewelry at home. Now let's move on to the different types of exams. I'm going to start out with imaging. Mammograms are probably a pretty common thing. A lot of what I'm going to talk about is mostly preventative type exams. With that, it depends on your anatomy and depends on the technician. Sometimes they require you to remove the jewelry for a couple different reasons. The first one being is that they could possibly damage it. If it's the press type and it's really tight, it could cause that piercing to tear. The other reason would be is that it may get in the way of what they're looking for. The third problem with them is because of the way they mark the nipple. I don't understand because I haven't had one personally, but from what I gathered, the jewelry may get in the way of doing that. So that's why they ask you to remove it. Now, it's only temporary. These exams do not take that long, so it's a good situation where if you feel comfortable taking the jewelry out and putting it back in is going to work. The other thing piercings could do would be change how the machine reads the density of your tissue. It can cause a lot of discomfort. I have heard this from clients that have worn them through the whole thing, that nothing really was a problem, but it did not feel good. So take that into consideration. Possibly switching to glass may be a better option, but as far as the discomfort and everything else and the possibility of it shifting or moving or tearing, etc., there's not really much we can do to solve that problem. Next, let's move on to MRIs. Most are going to require that you remove any type of metal jewelry or of any type. This is a liability issue from the standpoint of they're going to apply all these magnetic waves. So they're concerned about that material being attracted to the magnet, and then it flies off or possibly tears through or damages you. So it's a liability issue. The other issue is that it can block certain views of certain areas of the body depending on the piercing. My experience has been with this is it depends on what they're doing the MRI on and whether or not you have piercings in that area. If they're just doing like your leg or something like that, usually it's not an issue. But it is an issue if they are actually scanning your head and you have a bunch of metal jewelry inside your head. Now, first thing is first, if you are wearing implant grade biocompatible titanium, it is not going to be an issue with the magnets. But it will show up on the imaging and it may block what they are looking for. In most of the cases with an MRI, if they've gotten to that point, they're definitely needing to see the details of what's underneath there. So having a piece of jewelry that is dense may cause issues. This is why I would suggest switching to glass jewelry temporarily while you're doing the scan. First and foremost, it is non-metal. It's clear, so it shouldn't. There might be a little bit of distortion around the area, but not like you would have with metal. Back to the subject of certified biocompatible materials. Most high-quality jewelry is. So forcing you to remove the jewelry is kind of equivalent to going, oh, you have a hip replacement? Well, let me just cut your leg open and take that out because it's not safe to go in the MRI. The reality is it shouldn't cause any issues and it isn't harmful. However, because you usually don't have enough verification of the authenticity of that biocompatibility, most places will just not accept that idea at all for that reason because they don't want to be sued. CT scans shouldn't be affected at all by wearing your body piercing jewelry. Really, once again, it kind of depends on what you're getting scanned for and where they're scanning because it can get in the way and can affect what they see. You may need to remove the jewelry in that direct area. For example, if they're looking at your sinuses and you have septum piercing and 2 nostril piercings, you're probably going to need to take them out because it's going to block what they're looking for. Colonoscopies or anything that involves an endoscope. This is where they put something inside you, prod around, and take photos and video. The thing with colonoscopies especially is if they find a polyps, they're going to remove it. And they're going to use cauterizing tools in most cases to seal up the wound and make it heal faster and not bleed. So they're using electricity and you have metal in your body. That's not a good combination. There's a possibility of problems. Even though titanium is not very conductive or surgical stainless steel is to a degree, it's best that you don't run current through it, especially if it's inside a portion of your body. The other issue is because they're putting you under, there's a couple different things that you need to worry about. The first thing being is that if they have to use a defibrillator to get you back, or if they have to put tubes down your throat because for one other reason, for breathing or what have you. If they are possibly going to do a defibrillator, having an open metal object on your body is probably not a good idea. It wouldn't kill you, but it definitely cause some damage in the area. If they're putting something down your throat, it's best not to have something in your mouth or sticking out of your mouth that's metallic. It becomes kind of a choking issue, and it becomes an issue with it being in the way. The same goes for nostril piercings and septum piercings in having just a basic oxygen line into your nose. It may get in the way. So that's why they're asking you to remove this. In some cases, changing to different types of jewelry may help or eliminate a lot of the issues. But the problem is you're probably going to need to go with glass because they're not going to accept any other type of jewelry. X-rays. X-rays, piercing jewelry shows up on X-rays. Just like with other imaging types, if it's a section of your body that they're definitely looking at, it's important to have that jewelry out of the way because they can't see behind it. So in most cases, because we do X-rays for chest X-rays are pretty common. But for the most part, it's usually because you've caused some type of damage or injury to a joint or a bone or what have you. So usually people aren't pierced in that general area. So it shouldn't be a problem. But if it does come up, and removing the jewelry temporarily or putting glass jewelry in is your best option. So you had some medical exams, imaging scans of some sort while having piercings. What was your experience like? What did they ask you to do? Did they ask you to take the jewelry out? Did you wear glass to it and they still made you take it out? Leave a comment. Also, if you have any questions about piercing or what have you, please leave a comment. Or you can ask it on our live stream every Monday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Till next time, here's hoping all your piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you are in the Des Moines, Iowa area, I would love to see you for your piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.